Mind?
Right, okay.
Alright. I'm here with Derm Kerlin, and we're just going to have a bit of a chat about your experiences in World War II, Grandad.
Okay.
And the first one, obviously, is how did it all start? How did you join the army, or why did you join the army?
Yeah. Well, during the early parts of the war, all young people got called up as soon as they turned 18. And I was at Assumption College, Kilmore at that time, and doing my final year. And my dad got an exemption for me. So at the end of the year, I passed the public service exam and also got appointed as a teacher, and I decided to take the job in the public service, and I started there on the 6th of November 1941, and I hadn't been called up, so I worked away, and I got bored out in Coburg, and the war was getting very bad. The Japs had seemed to be conquering everywhere, and they'd taken a lot of Australians prisoner, and I was feeling very guilty about not being called up. So I went down to the Coburg drill hall, and I told them I hadn't been called up, and I signed up. They sent me out to Caulfield Racecourse. That was where most of the young blokes went in for their first night, and they examined all our teeth, and they went over our bodies from toenail to hair, and gave us our uniform and a rifle, and I spent one night at the Caulfield Racecourse. Well, they gave us a big bag, they called it a palliasse, the size of a mattress. It was just Hessian.
Yeah.
And they said there's a heap of straw over there, fill it up and find yourself a bed in one of the horse stalls. So I did that, and I spent the first night in one of the horse stalls, and all the other blokes did too. Next day they moved us out to Royal Park, and I got pickets ready, making sure that nobody was poking around at night around the tents. After a couple of nights there, I got sent out to Watsonia to do infantry training. And while I was out there, I got another series of injections, and when he finished giving me the last injection, I dropped on the floor. So I got a couple of days off, and anyway, when I recovered and got back into the infantry training, we were all lined up, hundreds, probably thousands of us, were lined up at Watsonia one morning, ready to go out and do our drill, and the colonel, or whoever he was, called out Private Kerlin. So I grabbed me that rifle and marched up to him, and he said, "You've been transferred out to the Australian Survey Corps. Your brother has claimed you." So brothers could claim brothers to get in the same unit. You'd think they would do the opposite, wouldn't you? But they didn't. So I got into the Australian Survey Corps, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. Otherwise I would have been finished up being fodder for the Japs.
Yeah.
So I was at Albert Park, and after I'd been there for a week or so, they decided to, the Captain Rossiter was my boss, he sent me up to Bendigo, and they had a small group camped in an old flour mill on the corner of Williamson Street and Queen Street. So we slept up on the second floor, and we stored all our maps up on the third and fourth floor. It was a map depot. At Fortuna, there's a great mansion in Bendigo, and the army took it over, and that's where they printed all the maps for distribution to all over Australia and the South Pacific. And our unit stored them and sent the maps off to wherever they were required. So this is where I got tangled up with this woman who I later became engaged to. I must say her family were very good to us. Used to take us home for lunch on Sunday and all that sort of thing. So after being there for a while, I got moved back to Albert Park, and I got made a Lance Corporal. After a while I got made a Corporal, and then the time came.
How come they promoted you?
Huh?
How come they promoted you?
Obviously
doing pretty well.
I must have
doing
been.
something right.
Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you a bit more now. They were forming a new unit up in Brisbane to go overseas to provide support for the mapping unit over in Moritai. We didn't know it was Moritai at the time.
Yeah.
So my captain Rossiter, he looked after me like a son. He said to me, look, he said, I'll make you a Lance Sergeant. He said, you won't get any pay, but he said, you'll get all the privileges of being a sergeant. So I put on the 3 stripes and off I went to, on a troop train to Brisbane, and which was pretty, the troop train was pretty terrible really.
Yeah.
We were crowded on like crowd 4 sheep onto a truck. And I remember we stopped at some town halfway between Albury and Sydney, and I think it was the Country Women's Association. We all got off the train and we had to go around a circle, and the Country Women's Association gave us sandwiches. Yeah. That was our tea. So I got to Brisbane and I went to the survey unit that was camped there, which was known as the 12th Australian Field Survey Company. Yeah. And they were camped in the Brisbane, South Brisbane Town Hall. So there was a lieutenant and a couple of other sergeants, myself and about 16 other troops. So I had to then gather all the equipment we needed to go to Moritai. We didn't know we were going to Moritai, we were going overseas. Yeah. So it was my job to gather all the stuff, so I had to go down to the Army Supply Depot and get the tents and all the kitchen equipment and everything we were going to need to go overseas. And I had to go out to the ammunition dump, which was way out of Brisbane, underground ammunition dump, and pick up enough ammunition for our unit to take with us. And we packed everything up, and then it came the time to get on the ship. We didn't know where we were going.
And you weren't a big fan of the ship, were you?
And it was a Duntroon, HMAS Duntroon, which was a troop ship.
Yeah.
And as we were, I was only about 22, I think, and
yeah.
I didn't hang around with the old blokes. I hung around with the young blokes, so I didn't have my stripes on.
Yeah.
So as we walked up to the gangplank, I didn't realise this at the time, but all the other soldiers went to the left, and you went down into the hold.
Yeah.
Those that were sergeant and above, they went that way, and they got cabins. So I didn't have any stripes on, so down I go with all the troops into the hold.
Didn't want to get them out? Couldn't get them out?
So, no, I had to stay there for the 2 weeks we were on the boat.
Yeah.
And we slept 3 high, just on wire stretchers.
Yeah.
Here, here, and here. And when it came night, during the day hello. You there, Michael? You can answer it, Craig.